and welcome. It's a pleasure today for me to introduce to our Lokvani audience Erin Murphy, who is running for the city councilor's position in Boston. Erin comes from the Boston public school system where she has served as a teacher for many, many years. She is a resident of Boston and has had tremendous experience doing community service and has won several awards, including the Unsung Hero Award for her tremendous work in the community. She is a single mother who has raised 4 wonderful children, and now she is really putting her time to give back to the community and make Boston a better place. Welcome, Erin, to Lokvani.
Thank you. You said my whole stump speech. That was wonderful. You introduced me so nicely. Yes, thank you. All of it's true.
All of it is true. That's great. Yeah. Yes, I mean, I am really excited. One thing about South Asians is we care deeply about education. It's what brought us here as immigrants. And for us, Goddess Saraswati, goddess of learning is our goddess. She's a very important goddess to us. So I wanted to ask you, maybe I'll start there itself. I know that education is always, it's an interesting situation, I think, where you want to obviously provide services to really those who perhaps don't have the right background to excel academically, and then provide opportunities to those who are excelling academically to be, challenging themselves even more. So what are your ideas of how we must merge these two? I know in the Boston public school system, there used to be that testing that was done to, bring people in, and then, they changed that. So where do you fall on it? And what is your idea for or vision for education in Boston?
Yes, thank you. So as a public school teacher for over 20 years, and like you mentioned, a mom who has raised my children here in the city, I do understand the value of education. Also, I'm the granddaughter of immigrants. My grandfather came here with just a 3rd grade education, broken English from Ireland. And education was something him and my grandmother really instilled in their 5 children. They knew that that was, the way to excel and, be successful here in America. So like you said, as a school teacher, I do know that the most important thing for me is making sure that we have universal pre-K and strong elementary schools for our children. A strong foundation is very important. You mentioned that some of our students aren't able, to succeed or need more services, which is something I did as a special education teacher and an ESL teacher. So I knew that, home life and language barriers definitely get in the way of some of our students. So making sure those resources are always there in supporting those children. But at the same time, when there are students who are academically excelling, we know that they also can get bored in a classroom if they're not able to, move ahead or, get to that next book they want to read or, excel in math. So making sure that opportunities for our, academically talented students are there also. I think it's as important as making sure we're offering, the special education services or remedial services. One thing, unfortunately, we do often in Boston is students who aren't ready to move on to the next grade. If they're not reading at grade level yet, we often push them along. So as they get from 2nd grade, if they haven't mastered those skills, they move on to 3rd, and it continues.
Hello.
Touched on about our exam schools that have recently been in the news about not having, the merit-based or the exam be what gets a student in. I do say, we should not be just looking at a test in 6th grade. If a student is not prepared to pass and excel in a test in 6th grade, that it's not the test's fault. It's that we've got, moved them along. And also knowing that exam school is not the only path for children. We should have more, athletics and art, and Madison Park High, I think, is one of the biggest missed opportunities in our school system. We have a vocational high school that is not excelling. We have MTC. We have so many union pathways and jobs in so many different, business sectors that we could really be preparing our students that way also. So we need to, like I said, work at the foundation, stronger foundation, and more quality schools in every neighborhood. So families know that whatever school their child is assigned to, hopefully it's right in their neighborhood with their siblings, that they're going to get a quality education. And they can be sure, the parents need to know, because many of our parents are working full time, sometimes 2-3 jobs, and they're not able to also then keep tabs on whether or not their children are getting the quality education they all deserve. So that is absolutely something, as a teacher and mom, I will make sure I advocate that every family has that option.
That's really terrific. I want to let our viewers know that you are actually traveling because it's the last few days of your campaigning, and you're actually doing this interview from your car. So,
Yes.
what actually motivates you to give back? Do such hard work where the return is just community service.
Reason I've been a teacher in the school system for over 20 years. I love this city, born and raised here. My grandparents came here, made a wonderful life for their children. It's a city I love, a city where I've raised my children, and I want my children to be able to afford to stay here, to want to stay here, to have a city, that's welcoming to everyone. And the opportunities that we know some have, we should all have. We're definitely becoming a city of have and have nots, and our education system, I do believe, is at the heart of that. So I know that my experience and expertise as an educator will really help that and help more of our city. And also as a school teacher, as anyone knows, if you've had children in the school system, if you're a good teacher, you're also not just teaching them how to read and write, you're supporting and advocating families, because many families come to the school with other needs and concerns. So that's important to know that, it's a special, as a city councilor, I'll be able to communicate like I always have with my families and support them.
That's really great to hear that, it's your community, and to make it better, you just have to work hard and give back. And I'm so glad that you've chosen that path. And I think that could be an inspiration to many of our Indian diaspora who are thinking about running for office, but at the same time, don't know the power that it can give. And it looks like that the impact can be quite a bit. So really, so why should people vote for you? Just a couple of comments on that would be great.
Yes, absolutely. Well, if anyone knows, if you're in it for the money or the glory, you're in it for the right reasons, to help lift families and lift people up and bring people together. And, also be someone, a voice that people know that they can reach out. So not only will I answer my phone, but I'm also someone who has shared my story and my lived experience. So I know people trust me and know. I often say, that raising my children here and growing up in the city, I've gone through a lot of the same struggles that, families have. If it's figuring out the school maze for their children, dealing with mental health and recovery issues in their family, trying to find resources for their older parents, all important to me. I also believe that the city council should go back to making sure that we're delivering constituent services, that is the, heart of what a city council needs to do. If it's, senior outreach, veteran outreach, connecting people to all of the services that our city has to offer. And we're such a rich city. We're not a poor city. So we do, I often felt that there were resources out there and we don't do a great job connecting people. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we have to make sure that people, if it's language or, economic, that there aren't barriers in the way. That if something's there for one family, that it can be there for all families. If something is working great in one neighborhood, we can make sure that it can also be great in another neighborhood, right? So if it's, and putting more funding into before and after school programming, I know, especially coming out of COVID, the mental health and isolation, not just our seniors, but many of our young children have been dealing with. So making sure we're increasing our funding and supports around, community centers and after school programming, job opportunities for our young children, just giving them hope that, after high school, that we're giving them the skills they need to, lead successful lives.
Great. And finally, what is your a vision of what the perfect Boston city would look like?
Yes, yes. I think it's one where everyone feels like their voice is being heard. And I often say that you may not agree with everything I say, but I am definitely honest and transparent. And I have been campaigning the same way I'll lead. I'm making sure that I show up in every city. Boston is a big city. It has a lot of neighborhoods, and some people campaign in just the pockets where they know that, they're in their comfort zone. They know their neighbors, but I've been making sure to show up in every neighborhood and share, my vision and answer questions that sometimes are tough questions, but making sure they know that I'll always be honest, but I'll also always show up. And one thing I knew would happen, but it's been happening during this campaign, is you learn a lot, right? I was saying to my children last week, I'm definitely a better person from this, just meeting so many different people from all different neighborhoods, different backgrounds, different cultures, different types of jobs and family lifestyles. So it's definitely been a wonderful thing. And I know that the perfect city council is going to be one where we answer to the people. We listen. We don't just stay in City Hall and make rules, but we go out into the neighborhoods and we have everyone part of this decision making. And people often feel like they're disconnected from politics because they're not being heard. And one way to fix that is go out and listen, right?
Right. And you're obviously on your way out in your travels here to go listen to other people.
Yeah,
And
on my way, yes, to Brighton, yes.
I see you are in the tunnel, so God bless. And I wish you the very best of luck and look forward
Good.
to seeing Erin Murphy as the city council and look forward to Boston
Yes, thank you. I'm
changing.
number 8. November 2nd is election day. I'm number 8 on the ballot, Erin Murphy. I'm the last name, so I tell people go straight to 8 and you'll find my. And I hope, if you look at my website, erinforboston.com, or if you follow me on social media, you'll see all of the places we're going, all of my visions for Boston. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Wonderful. A pleasure to connect with you and the very best of luck to you. Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank